The rain-slicked porch light flickered like a dying heartbeat as Angel's fist connected with the door, the wood groaning under the force of 10 years' worth of rage. "Mom, it's me. Open up. I'm not leaving this time." But the voice that cracked from inside wasn't hers. It was deeper, rougher, laced with a gravelly Midwestern drawl that sliced through the storm like a knife through fog. The door swung wide, and there stood Dominic, alive and impossibly real, his green eyes widening in the porch glow as if the ghost of every stolen night had just clawed its way back from the grave. Angel staggered back a step, the duffel bag slipping from his shoulder to thud against the warped oak planks of the porch. Water streamed down his face, mixing with the hot sting of tears he hadn't shed since the courtroom gavel fell a decade ago. Dominic, his Dominic, framed in the doorway like a portrait from a life Angel had buried under concrete and regret. The man's flannel shirt hung loose over a frame still broad from years of manual labor, but the lines around his eyes were new, carved deep by time and whatever hell this house had wrought. "Jesus Christ," Dominic breathed, his voice a ragged whisper that carried the weight of forgotten promises. He reached out, fingers hovering inches from Angel's soaked jacket, as if touching him might shatter the illusion. "Angel?" they said. "She said you were gone for good." The word gone hung between them, heavier than the thunder rumbling over Lake Michigan. Angel's mother had spun her web of lies with surgical precision. Dominic had OD'd in some back alley dive after Angel's arrest, a tragic footnote to their phase. That's what she'd called it, a phase. Their love, their stolen summers in the empty fields behind the high school football bleachers. She'd wept on the phone from Cook County Jail, her voice breaking as she fed him the story that kept him chained not just to bars, but to grief. Now, here was the lie incarnate, breathing, staring back at him with eyes that still held the spark of that first awkward kiss under the July stars. "You," Angel choked, his throat raw from the Greyhound ride and the bourbon he'd nursed to steel himself for this confrontation. He jabbed a finger at Dominic's chest, the accusation trembling. "She told me you were dead. Overdosed. Remember, that's what she said while I was rotting in that cell, thinking I'd lost you forever." Dominic's face crumpled, the color draining like milk from a cracked glass. He glanced over his shoulder into the dim hallway, where the faint clatter of dishes echoed from the kitchen, the same floral wallpaper, the same scuffed linoleum that smelled of lemon pledge and unspoken sins. "Angie," he murmured, using the old nickname that twisted like a knife in Angel's gut. No one had called him that since. Well, since. "Come inside. It's pouring cats and dogs out there." "We can't." "No." Angel's voice cracked like the thunder outside, his boots rooted to the porch as if the rain might wash him away if he moved. "You don't get to Angie me after 10 years. Where's my mother? She owes me the truth. All of it." Dominic's jaw tightened, a muscle ticking under the stubble that Angel once traced with lazy fingertips on lazy Sunday mornings. He stepped aside, gesturing weakly into the warmth of the house. "She's in the kitchen. But this ain't gonna be pretty, kid. Never is with her." Angel shouldered past him, the brush of their arms igniting a spark that raced up his spine. Familiar, forbidden, alive. The living room hadn't changed. Sagging couch with the Afghan his abuela knitted before the cancer took her, the crucifix above the mantel glaring down like a judgmental eye. Family photos lined the walls, smiling faces frozen in time, Angel's own teenage grin cropped out of the later ones, as if he'd been erased with a pair of kitchen shears. From the kitchen, Evelyn's voice floated out, sharp as shattered glass. Dom? Who's at the door in this godforsaken weather? If it's that Jehovah's Witness again, tell him we're Catholic and slam it. Angel froze in the archway, his heart slamming against his ribs. There she was, his mother, elbow deep in soapy water at the sink. Her once vibrant red hair now streaked with gray and pulled into a severe bun. She was 62 now, but the lines of perpetual worry had aged her into 70 easy. She turned, sponge dripping in her hand, and the color leached from her face faster than the rain from Angel's clothes. Angel! The sponge hit the floor with a wet splat. Her hands flew to her mouth, eyes wide, guilty eyes. He recognized now, after years of studying con artists in the prison yard. My boy. Oh, God. My boy. He crossed the linoleum in 3 strides, the air thick with the scent of dish soap and dread. Don't, he snarled, stopping just short of her reach. Don't you dare my boy me like nothing happened. Like you didn't lie to me every visiting hour, every collect call. Dominic's dead, you said. My fault, you said, because of me. He spiraled. You let me grieve a ghost while you... What? Kept him here like some dirty secret? Evelyn's gaze darted to Dominic, who lingered in the doorway, arms crossed over his chest like a shield. The betrayal in her eyes was a lightning strike, raw, illuminating. Dom, you didn't. You promised. Promised what? Angel whirled on him, the room spinning like a bad high. That you'd stay quiet? Play house with her while I broke in there. Dominic's shoulders sagged, the fight draining out of him as he rubbed a hand over his face. It wasn't like that, Angel. Not at first. After your trial. She came to me, hysterical. Said you'd be better off thinking I was gone. That it would help you move on. Do your time clean. No distractions. I was a wreck myself, booze, pills, the whole spiral. But I sobered up for you. Waited. She made me swear not to contact you. Said it was for your own good. For my good. Angel laughed, a bitter bark that echoed off the cabinets. He slammed his palm on the Formica counter, the impact jarring up his arm. You two decided my heart, my life. I wrote letters. Dom. Hundreds. Burned 'em all when she said you were 6 feet under. I tattooed your initials on my ribs to remember the only man who ever saw me. Really saw me. And you were here. What? Fixing her leaky faucet. Evelyn reached for him then, her fingers trembling like aspen leaves in the wind. Baby, listen. It was shame. All right? Shame ate me alive. My son, loving another man, folks in this neighborhood, church. They'd crucify us. I thought if I cut you off from him, from that life, you'd come home straight, find a nice girl, give me grandbabies. But the lie, it grew. And Dom, he stayed to help. After your father ran off with that secretary, I was alone. He fixed the roof, paid the bills when Social Security dried up. He was my rock, but God forgive me, I kept him from you out of spite. Angel recoiled, the pieces slotting into a grotesque mosaic. His father, gone when he was 12, chasing skirts and freedom. Mother, clinging to respectability like a life raft in a sea of small-town judgment. And Dominic, the boy from the wrong side of the tracks who'd stolen his heart at 16 with a shared cigarette and a confession under the bleachers. I think I love you, and it scares the hell out of me. You used him, Angel whispered, his voice breaking. You used us to stitch up your own wounds. Dominic stepped forward, his presence a gravitational pull Angel fought even as he craved it. She didn't use me, Angel. I chose to stay. For her. Yeah, but mostly for the hope you'd walk through that door one day. And here you are. His hand found Angel's shoulder, warm and steady, thumb brushing the nape of his neck in a gesture so intimate it buckled Angel's knees. I'm sorry. For all of it. The rain hammered the window panes like accusatory fists, and Evelyn sank into a chair, her face a mask of ruin. Forgive me, Mijo. I was scared. A mother protects her own, even from the truth. Angel shrugged off Dominic's touch. The spark too dangerous, too alive after years of numbness. Protects? You destroyed me. He grabbed his duffel from the hall, the weight of it nothing compared to the lead in his chest. I came back for closure, not this soap opera. I'm out. But as he yanked the door open, Dominic's voice stopped him cold. Wait. Please. 10 years. Angel. Give me 10 minutes. The plea hung in the air, raw and human, and against every screaming instinct, Angel paused. The storm raged on, but inside, something quieter stirred, a fragile thread of what might have been, if lies hadn't woven it shut. Angel let the door ease shut behind him, the click echoing like a judge's gavel in the sudden hush. He dropped his bag again, this time with deliberate slowness, as if anchoring himself to the earth before the ground could swallow him whole. Dominic's hand lingered in the air where his shoulder had been, fingers curling into a fist as if to trap the ghost of that touch. Evelyn remained slumped at the table, her eyes red-rimmed but dry, stoic in her defeat, the way she'd always been when the world pressed too hard. 10 minutes, Angel echoed, his voice a low rumble that matched the retreating thunder. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed to mirror Dominic's stance, creating a barrier of folded limbs and guarded hearts. Start talking. And don't sugarcoat it. I've had enough fairy tales. Dominic exhaled, long and shaky, and pulled out a chair opposite Evelyn. He didn't sit, though instead, he paced the narrow kitchen like a caged wolf, boots scuffing the linoleum in a rhythm Angel remembered from anxious nights post-curfew. All right. From the beginning, then. That night, the fight with your old man. You remember how it went down? Angel nodded curtly, the memory a fresh bruise. It was the summer of 15. Fireflies dancing in the backyard like errant souls. He'd just turned 18, and the weight of his secret had grown too heavy to carry alone. Dominic had been there, 20 and cocky, working summers at the auto shop, his laugh a beacon in the monotony of Bridgeport's endless gray. They'd been fooling around in the garage, tools scattered like forgotten dreams, when Richard, Angel's father, burst in, reeking of whiskey and failure. What the fuck is this? Richard had bellowed, his face purpling as he yanked Angel off Dominic by the collar. The punch landed square on Dominic's jaw, a crack that split the humid air. Angel lunged, all flailing fists and teenage fury, and in the chaos, Richard slipped, his head cracking against the workbench. Blood pooled, dark and accusing, and the sirens wailed before dawn. Manslaughter, Angel said flatly, the word tasting like ash. They called it self-defense gone wrong. But the jury saw two fags defending their sin, and I got 10 to 15. Dominic stopped pacing, his eyes locking on Angel's with an intensity that peeled back layers of scar tissue. I testified for you. told him the truth. Your dad was the aggressor, drunk and hateful. But Evelyn, he shot her a look, not unkind but laced with old sorrow. She flipped. In the hallway after, she cornered me, said if I pushed too hard, the DA would dig into us, make it a motive. Queer lovers offing the homophobe dad. You'd go away forever. Evelyn stirred, her voice a whisper-thin thread. I was protecting him, Dom. From the papers, the protests at the trial. Gay murder in the heartland, that's what they'd scream. I couldn't let that bury my son alive. You buried him anyway, Dominic countered gently, but his gaze never left Angel. She made me promise to vanish. Said it'd give you space to heal, to forget the confusion. I was young, stupid, grieving your dad in my own messed up way, since we'd been tight once, fixing cars together. So I left Chicago, crashed with my cousin in Milwaukee for a spell. But I couldn't stay gone. Checked in on her every month, wired money when I could. Then, 2 years in, she calls me back. Says the roof's caving, bills piling up. I came. And stayed. Not for her, Angel. For the porch light I'd leave on every night, hoping you'd see it when you got out. Angel slid down the wall to the floor, knees drawn up, the cold tile seeping through his jeans. The vulnerability hit him like a sucker punch, sitting there, small again, while the two people who'd shaped his wreckage laid it bare. You grieved me? He asked Dominic, the words cracking. While I was mourning you, Dominic knelt before him, close enough that Angel could smell the faint cedar of his cologne, unchanged after all these years. Every damn day. I drove past the prison on holidays, just to feel closer. Kept your letters, the ones she forwarded before she stopped. Read 'em till the ink faded. His hand moved again, this time cupping Angel's knee, a tentative bridge over the chasm. I never stopped loving you. That's the God's honest. The admission hung, electric and tender, and for a heartbeat, the kitchen faded, the rain a distant murmur, Evelyn a shadow at the table. Angel's breath hitched, his body remembering what his mind had tried to kill. The press of Dominic's mouth in stolen moments, the way his laugh rumbled like thunder against Angel's chest. But trust was a fragile thing, shattered once and pieced with lies. And her. Angel jerked his chin toward Evelyn, his voice hardening. She knew you were alive. Fed me scraps. He's gone. Move on, while you two played house. Did you? The question died unspoken, but the implication scorched. Did you love her? Sleep in his bed? Dominic's laugh was short, pained. Hell no. We're friends. Angel complicated. Yeah. But platonic as a nun's habit. She needed a handyman. I needed purpose. Kept me sober. Kept me waiting. He glanced at Evelyn, a soft regret in his eyes. But the lie poisoned everything. I begged her to tell you, near the end of your bid. She wouldn't. Said it was too late, that you'd hate us both. Evelyn rose then, slow as an old wound reopening. She crossed to the stove, busying her hands with the kettle, but her shoulders shook. I was wrong. Pride, fear, call it what you will. This town chews up boys like you, spits out husks. I thought I was saving you from more pain. The whistle built, shrill and insistent, and she shut it off with a slap. But lies don't save. They starve. Angel pushed to his feet, Dominic rising with him, their proximity a live wire. He searched those green eyes, hunting for deceit, finding only the raw ache of recognition. Why now? Why tell me anything? Dominic's thumb traced Angel's jaw, a ghost of a caress that sent shivers racing. Because you're here, and I can't lose you again. Not to rain, not to ghosts. The moment stretched, taut as a bowstring, until Evelyn's voice shattered it. Stay the night, at least. The guest room's clean. We can talk more. Like a family. Angel barked a laugh, bitter and broken. Family? This ain't Ward and June Cleaver. Ma. But fine. One night. Then I figure out what's left of me. As Dominic led him upstairs, hand brushing the small of his back, a map to old territories, Angel felt the first crack in the armor. The bedroom was unchanged. Posters of Nirvana and the Cubs faded on the walls, his old twin bed sagging under dust ruffles. Dominic lingered in the doorway, silhouetted against the hall light. Get some rest, he murmured. We'll sort the wreckage tomorrow. Alone. Angel stripped off his wet clothes, the mirror reflecting a body marked by time. Tattoos of thorns and roses inked in a cell block haze. Scars from bar fights in the yard. He traced the initials on his ribs. DM. For Dominic Malone. A vow etched in skin. Downstairs, he heard their voices, low, murmured apologies weaving through the floorboards. Sleep came fitful, haunted by dreams of bloodied garages and phantom embraces. Dawn crept in gray and unforgiving, and with it, the real storm, the one brewing in the heart of what home had become. But as Angel descended the stairs, coffee brewing and bacon sizzling, he caught Dominic's smile, tentative, hopeful, and wondered if some lies could be unraveled without destroying everything. The morning light slanted through the lace curtains like hesitant fingers, probing the kitchen's corners where shadows of last night's confessions still lingered. Angel paused on the threshold, duffel at his feet, watching Dominic flip eggs with a practiced flick of the wrist. Domestic. Steady. A far cry from the reckless boy who'd once hot-wired his uncle's Chevy for a midnight joyride to the lake. Evelyn bustled at the counter, slicing tomatoes with mechanical precision, her eyes avoiding his like he was a solar eclipse. Morning. Sunshine, Dominic said, plating the food with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. He slid a mug across the table, black coffee, 2 sugars, just how Angel liked it. Muscle memory, or something deeper. Figured you'd need fuel after that bus ride from hell. Angel sank into a chair, the wood creaking under him like an old friend's welcome. He wrapped his hands around the mug, the heat grounding him against the surreal normalcy. Yeah. Terre Haute to Chicago felt like Purgatory's express lane. He sipped, the bitterness cutting through the fog in his head. So, what's the play here? We eat, pretend we're the Huxtables. Then what? Group therapy. Evelyn set the plates down with a clatter, her smile brittle as autumn leaves. We eat. Then we talk. No pretending. She sat, folding her hands like a penitent at mass. I owe you that much, Mijo. More. The meal unfolded in fits and starts, fork scraping, swallows thick with unsaid words. Dominic filled the silences with small talk, the Cubs' latest slump, how the neighborhood had gentrified with yoga studios and overpriced coffee shops. But Angel's mind wandered to the undercurrents, the what-ifs that had haunted his cell block nights. What if he'd fought harder at trial? What if Dominic had broken the pact sooner? What if love wasn't a crime in the eyes of juries or mothers? Halfway through, Evelyn pushed her plate away, the eggs untouched. I lied about more than him, Angel. About your father, too. Her voice trembled, but she pressed on, eyes fixed on the tablecloth's faded roses. Richard didn't just leave for that woman. He knew about you and Dom. Found your journal under the mattress. All those scribbles about boys and feelings. He beat you that night not just drunk, but furious. Called you unnatural. Said he'd disown us all. Angel froze, fork midway to his mouth. The words landed like shrapnel, embedding in wounds he'd cauterized with denial. He knew, and you covered for him? Let me think it was just booze. She nodded, tears carving tracks through her powder. I burned the journal. Told the cops it was a robbery gone wrong, that he'd interrupted a break-in. Easier than the truth. Folks would have said I raised a deviant, that it drove him to his grave. She reached across, her hand hovering near his. But it was me, too. I saw the signs, how you lit up around Dom, how you'd blush at his jokes. I prayed it away, sent you to that Christian camp in Wisconsin. Thought guilt would fix you. Dominic's chair scraped back, his face thunderous. Ev, enough. That's ancient history. Angel's home now, let him breathe. But Angel pulled his hand away, the betrayal a fresh bloom of rage. No, let her finish. I want the full autopsy on my life. He turned to Dominic, eyes narrowing. And you? You knew about the journal? Stayed quiet while she rewrote my history. Dominic winced, running a hand through his hair, graying at the temples, a reminder of years stolen. Not all of it. She told me after the funeral, when I came back. I was furious, wanted to tell you in a letter, but she intercepted them. Swore it'd reopen the wound. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice dropping to that intimate timbre that once whispered sonnets in the dark. I protected you the only way I knew how, by surviving for us. Got my CDL. Drove semis cross-country to stack cash for when you got out. Dreamed of a place in the suburbs. Maybe, or that cabin by the lake we talked about. You, me, no more hiding. The vision pierced Angel. A life unspooled, simple and sweet, away from prying eyes and pious judgments. But reality was stickier, laced with the scent of bacon and regret. Dreams are cheap in prison, Dom. I traded mine for survival, lifting weights, reading dog-eared Steinbecks, dodging shivs from guys who smelled weakness. Came out harder, yeah, but hollow. And now, you're here. She's here. And I'm the intruder in my own damn house. Evelyn stood abruptly, chair tipping with a clatter. This is your home. Always was. I kept your room, your things. Even that stupid guitar you never learned. She fled to the sink, shoulders heaving, the water running hot and futile against the stains of the past. Dominic rose, circling the table to Angel's side. His hand found Angel's under the tablecloth, fingers interlacing, a lifeline tossed into churning waters. Hey. One step at a time. You're not hollow to me. Never were. His thumb stroked the back of Angel's hand, calluses rough from wrenches and wheels, but the touch soft as forgiveness. Angel didn't pull away. Couldn't. The warmth seeped in, thawing edges he'd iced over. What now? Can't just pick up. Too much water, Too many bridges burned. Then we build new ones, Dominic said simply, his green eyes steady as Lake Michigan on a calm day. Start small. Walk with me after breakfast. Show you how the old field's grown over. The invitation tugged at something primal, the boy in him craving the man who'd first made his heart stutter. Angel nodded, the motion slight but seismic. Yeah. Small. They cleared the table in companionable silence. Evelyn's sniffles the soundtrack to their tentative piece. Outside, the air hung crisp, the rain-scented earth yielding underfoot as they strolled the cracked sidewalk toward the high school. Bridgeport hadn't changed much. Brick row houses with Madonna shrines in front yards, the L train rumbling overhead like a mechanical heartbeat. Kids in hoodies kicked soccer balls in the street, oblivious to the ghosts walking among them. At the field, the bleachers loomed rusted and empty, weeds choking the baselines. Dominic vaulted the chain-link fence with ease, offering a hand to haul Angel over. They settled on the metal seats, the chill biting through jeans, but Dominic's arm draped casual around Angel's shoulders, claiming territory with quiet defiance. "Remember that homecoming game?" Dominic murmured, his breath warm against Angel's ear. "You snuck me in under the stands, all nerves and stolen beers. First time you said it, I love you." Angel leaned into him, the weight familiar, right? "Yeah. And you punched that jock who called us names after. Broke your hand, but worth it." Dominic chuckled, low and rich. "Worth every ache." His free hand tilted Angel's chin, eyes searching. "Still worth it?" The question was a precipice, and Angel teetered, heart pounding. He closed the gap, lips brushing Dominic's in a kiss that started tentative testing, tasting time's bitterness, then deepened, hungry and healing. Tongues met, memories flooded, salt and sweat, promises sealed in the dark. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, the world narrowing to the thud of pulses. "God, I missed you," Angel whispered, tears pricking. "Me too," Dominic replied, voice wrecked. "But we're here now, back home." Evelyn waited on the porch, a tentative smile breaking through. "There's pie in the fridge. Apple, your favorite." It was a peace offering, fragile as spun sugar. Angel took a slice, the sweetness cloying but earnest. As evening fell, stories flowed, Evelyn's lonely years, Dominic's road-weary nights, Angel's prison philosophies gleaned from contraband books. Laughter crept in, tentative, then full-throated. But under the hearth glow, tension simmered. A phone call shattered it. Angel's parole officer, routine check-in. "All good," the voice crackled. "Yeah," Angel said, glancing at the two faces lit by lamplight. "Better than good." Yet as night deepened, doubts clawed. Could love mend what family had fractured? Or was this just intermission before the real act, the betrayal that always followed hope? The second day dawned brittle, frost etching the windows like accusations. Angel woke to the murmur of voices downstairs, Evelyn's clipped tones clashing with Dominic's soothing baritone. He lingered in bed, sheets tangled around him like the knots in his chest, replaying the kiss under the bleachers. It had been a spark, yes, but embers needed air to roar, and the house felt thick with the smoke of old fires. Dressing in borrowed flannel, Dominic's, the sleeves rolled to fit, he descended to find them at the table, a stack of yellowed envelopes between them. His letters, salvaged from some attic purgatory. Evelyn's eyes were puffy, her hands twisting a dish rag. "We were just sorting," she said, voice small. "Dom thought you might want these back." Angel snatched one at random, the paper crackling like dry bones. His own scrawl, Day 47. "Miss the way you smell like motor oil and rain. If I close my eyes, I see us on that pier, toes in the water. Don't forget me." Postmarked Year 3. Returned unopened. "You read them?" he asked Dominic, the hurt flaring fresh. "Every one she let me." Dominic's gaze was steady, unflinching. "They kept me going, Angel. Proof you were fighting." Evelyn cleared her throat, standing with forced briskness. "I'm off to bingo at the church hall. Need space to pray on this." She paused at the door, hand on Angel's arm, a touch lighter than yesterday's. "I love you, boy." Even when I was too scared to show it. The door clicked shut, leaving the air charged. Dominic gathered the letters, tucking them into a shoebox. "She's trying. Give her that." Angel paced, the floorboards groaning under his agitation. "Trying doesn't erase a decade. What if this is all pity? You, playing the loyal sidekick, her, the reformed bigot. I need real, Dom. Not this half-life." Dominic caught his wrist, pulling him close until their breaths synced. "This is real. I'm real." His lips claimed Angel's again. Slower this time, deliberate, a mapping of scars and survivals. Hands roamed, tentative at first, then urgent, peeling flannel to reveal ink and skin. Angel gasped as Dominic's mouth trailed his collarbone, teeth grazing the tattoo, DM, a brand of devotion. They tumbled to the couch, the Afghan pooling like spilled secrets. Clothes shed in a frenzy, bodies reconnecting with the grace of long-lost dancers. Dominic's hands were reverent, tracing ribs and hips, whispering praises against Angel's throat. "Beautiful." "Mine." Angel arched, lost in the rhythm, the slide of sweat-slick skin, the hitch of moans echoing off family photos. It was redemption in flesh, love clawing back from the grave. After, tangled and spent, they lay in the hush, Dominic's fingers combing Angel's hair. "I want forever," he murmured. "You and me, out of this house. Portland, maybe rainy like home, but freer." Angel propped on an elbow, tracing Dominic's jaw. "And her? We can't just ghost." "No. But boundaries. She's family, flawed as hell, but ours." The idol shattered with a knock, sharp, insistent. Dominic cursed, yanking on jeans as Angel scrambled for boxers. At the door stood Father O'Malley, Evelyn's confessor, his clerical collar stark against the gray morning. "Mrs. Rivera?" Heard she had company. His eyes flicked past Dominic to Angel, widening in recognition. "You. The prodigal." Word traveled fast in Bridgeport's vein of gossip. "Yeah," Angel said, chin lifted. "Me." The priest's smile was thin, laced with judgment. "Your mother's been burdened. Perhaps a chat, for her soul and yours." Dominic bristled, but Angel waved him off. "Let him in. Time to air the sins." In the living room, over weak tea, O'Malley preached redemption's steep price. Penance, prayer, a return to God's natural order. Angel listened, fire building. Natural? Like beating your kid for loving wrong? Or lying him into grief? He leaned forward, voice steel. Tell me, Father, does God sanction that? The priest flushed, sputtering scripture. Dominic interjected. Calm thunder. We're good people, Father. Flawed, but healing. Evelyn needs support, not sermons. O'Malley left in a huff, the door slamming like a verdict. But the damage rippled. By noon, Evelyn returned, face ashen, whispers from bingo hens buzzing like flies. They know, Angel. About you too. The priest. He told. The confrontation erupted in the kitchen, Evelyn's voice rising to a wail. I confessed everything, my lies, my shame. Now the whole parish thinks I'm harboring sodomites. Sodomites, Angel roared, slamming the table. That's us, Ma, your son and the man who saved your roof. Dominic tried to mediate, hands raised. Ev, calm. It's 2025, not the dark ages. People change, but Evelyn whirled on him, eyes wild. You wormed your way in, kept the secret for your own gain. I see it now, you never cared for me, just waited like a vulture for him to come back. The accusation landed like a grenade, shrapnel tearing fresh wounds. Dominic reeled, color draining. That's not. It is, she spat, tears streaming. You pitted me, used my loneliness. And now, you'll take him away, leave me to rot with the gossips. Angel stepped between them, chest heaving. Stop. This is on you, Ma. Your lies started the fire. Now you're burning the house down. He turned to Dominic, seeing the crack doubt flickering in those green eyes. Tell me she's wrong. That you stayed for more than a ghost. Dominic's voice broke. I stayed for her. Yeah, because she was your blood. But you, always you. Every fixed pipe, every long night, it was practice for us. Evelyn crumpled, sobbing into her apron. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. But I can't. The shame. It'll kill me. The climax crested then, a tidal wave of emotion crashing through the room. Angel knelt beside her, the boy in him surfacing amid the man. Shame doesn't kill, Ma. Silence does. We face it together or not at all. She clutched his hand, nodding through hiccups. Dominic watched, arms crossed, the tension coiling like a spring. As dusk fell, they sat in fractured truce, Evelyn retreating to her room, Angel and Dominic on the porch, beers in hand. You think she'll come around? Angel asked, staring at the streetlights blooming like hesitant stars. Dominic clinked bottles. Hope's a stubborn bastard. Like us, but betrayal's shadow loomed. That night, Angel found a letter slipped under his door. Evelyn's scrawl. I can't lose you both. But if you go with him, don't come back. Forgive me, but choose. The ultimatum sliced deep, forcing the fracture. Love's pull against blood's chain. Angel crumpled it, heart fracturing, as Dominic's snores drifted from the guest room. Dawn would demand a choice, and the cost would be everything. The ultimatum burned in Angel's pocket like a live coal as he slipped out before sunrise, the house still cloaked in pre-dawn hush. He wandered the empty streets of Bridgeport, collar up against the bite, the L's distant rumble a metronome to his turmoil. 10 years behind bars had taught him choices were illusions, survival's sharp edges dictating the cuts. But this, mother versus lover, past versus possible future. The weight bowed him, breaths fogging in the chill. By the time he returned, the kitchen light glowed accusatory. Evelyn nursed coffee at the table, eyes hollowed by a sleepless vigil. Dominic leaned against the counter, arms folded, his face a storm cloud of worry. "Went for a walk," Angel said, voice rough. He dropped the crumpled letter between them. "Found this." "Care to explain?" Evelyn's hand flew to her mouth, guilt etching deeper lines. I panicked. The priest's words. The stairs at Mass tomorrow, they'd strip me bare. I thought if I pushed, you'd stay. We'd heal quiet-like. Quiet. Angel's laugh was hollow, echoing off the cabinets. Our whole life's been whispers and shadows. No more. He turned to Dominic, the man who'd anchored him through tempests unseen. "And you? If I choose her, you walk." Dominic's jaw clenched, green eyes flashing pain. "I'd fight for us. But I won't make you choose blood over heart. That's her poison, not mine." He stepped forward, voice dropping to a plea. "Come with me, Angel. Portland's got queer bars, pride flags on every corner. We build from scratch, no ghosts." The offer dangled, tantalizing, a canvas unmarred by lies. But Evelyn rose, frail but fierce, gripping the table's edge. "Don't. This is home, your roots, our history." He was a phase. "Mijo. I can get you a job at the factory, introduce you to Maria's daughter. Normal. Safe." The word phase ignited the powder keg. Angel whirled, voice thundering. "Safe? You call prison safe? Grief safe?" He wasn't a phase. He was my salvation. Tears streamed, hot and unbidden, as the dam broke. "You lied, manipulated, and now this? Ultimatums like Dad's beatings? I'm done hiding for your comfort." Evelyn recoiled, collapsing into her chair, sobs racking her frame. "I just wanted my boy back. Not this broken version." Dominic moved then, kneeling beside her with a gentleness that pierced Angel's heart. "He's not broken. He's whole, scarred. Yeah. But stronger. And you could be part of that." He glanced up, eyes pleading. "Let him go if you love him. Really love him." The room pulsed with the raw humanity of it. Three souls entangled in love's cruel geometry. Angel sank to the floor, back against the fridge, exhaustion crashing like waves. "I can't lose you either," he whispered to Dominic. "But her. She's all I had in there. Her letters, even laced with lies, they were lifelines." Silence stretched, taut and tender, until Evelyn extended a trembling hand. "Then take me with you. Not to Portland, to therapy, to church groups for parents like me. I read about M online, PFLAG or whatever. I'll learn. I'll fight the shame." The offer hung, revolutionary in its vulnerability. Dominic's brows rose, surprise softening to hope. "You mean it? No more walls?" She nodded, fierce through tears. "For him. For us. If it means swallowing pride, so be it." Angel crawled to them, the trio forming a ragged circle on the linoleum, hands linking, tears mingling. Together, then. Slow. No more secrets. The climax ebbed, leaving space for mending. Days blurred into a tentative rhythm. Evelyn attending support meetings, her rosary beads clicking softer now. Dominic scouting apartments in Boys Town, Chicago's queer haven, close enough for visits but worlds apart. Angel job hunted, barista gigs, Maybe night classes for that mechanic certification he'd dreamed of. One evening, under a harvest moon, they gathered on the porch, Evelyn with her Bible study notes annotated with questions on acceptance, Dominic with takeout ribs from the old joint, Angel with a six-pack and stories from his first shift. Laughter flowed freer, the air scented with barbecue and possibility. But the true test came at Sunday Mass. Whispers rippled as they entered. Angel and Dominic hand in hand, Evelyn at their side, head high. Father O'Malley's homily faltered on forgiveness, his gaze lingering. Afterward, in the narthex, a cluster of blue hairs approached, eyes curious rather than cutting. Mrs. Rivera, one ventured, heard you're starting that group. Mind if I join? Evelyn's smile bloomed, genuine. Plenty of room, Dolores. We're all works in progress. Outside, under the steeple's shadow, Angel pulled Dominic aside, the church bells tolling like benedictions. You wrecked her lie, he murmured, lips brushing Dominic's temple. But you rebuilt us. Dominic grinned, that cocky spark from youth alight. Team effort. Now, about that cabin. They walked home arm in arm, Evelyn chattering about potlucks and progress. The future stretched open. Not flawless, scars would ache on rainy days, doubts whisper in quiet hours, but human. Deeply, achingly so. Love, turned out, wasn't a lie to shatter. It was a truth to forge, one fragile step at a time. In the end, the prodigal didn't just return, he redeemed them all, turning betrayal's ashes into a hearth where three hearts could finally warm.